No big cities, flowing waters, everything's so pretty. When I dream so clearly. My place of refuge, swear I wanna be. 304, that's all I ever live for. 304, alright. 304, that's all I ever live for. 304, alright. Far away, touch so nice. So we got love with a little bit of sugar and spice. That's right. Friendly smiles, that's all you'll ever see. Mountain heaven, no place I'd rather be. 304, that's all I ever live for. 304, alright, it's alright. 304, that's all I ever live for. 304, live for. Alright, winding roads take me home to a place where it's blue and gold, scenic sights and ooh, sweet honeybee. Magic views, a beautiful place to be. 304, that's all I ever live for. 304, alright, it's alright. 304, that's all I ever live for. 304, live for. Alright, if you've never been, I think you should go. Place to know. 304, so nice. If you've never been, I think you should go. Place to know. 304.
Well, good evening, everyone. How about that? Joey Foster production, I think. And Naya, what a beautiful voice. Great intro. I'm Frank Fear, co-host of Mountaineer Locker Room. Greg Christ is on the side of an interstate with a flat tire tonight. Greg, we hope you can make it at some point, but not now. And Mickey Plumley is unavailable this evening. So I'm all by myself. No, I'm not. Joey, up here. Joey's got to come in. There he is.
What's happening,
Joey,
buddy?
I tell you, you're gracious enough to fill in, and we appreciate it very much. And I see that our guest, Mike Dunlap, is in the back room. Mike will bring you on in just a second. But,
I have to correct you. I have to correct you on something. That's not a.
Okay.
That video wasn't produced by me. That was professionally produced. That is Naya, who is Eugene Napoleon's wife.
Yeah.
She has 18 platinum records. They produced that video a couple of years ago, and Eugene shared it with me. And I asked him if we could start playing it on our show. And he gave me permission, said absolutely, sent me everything I needed for YouTube. So special shout out to Eugene Napoleon, good friend of mine, good friend of the show. And he was just gracious enough to allow us to use that for an intro video. So I appreciate that.
It really is very classy. But still, all the money you're making is going to Joey Foster Productions, right?
Well, all the money we make, yeah, all 30 cents.
Yeah. Before we get started and bring Mike in as our guest, we're going to talk with Mike about his great career and what he's up to these days. And then we're going to talk about Mountaineer football, baseball, a little bit on basketball, some news this week. But you have a new lineup on the channel, Joey, and you've been brainstorming, and it's terrific. So for those who are unfamiliar, why don't you take a few minutes and describe what you got going now?
Absolutely. So tell everybody on Monday night, we have a brand new show called AI versus 8 Ball. And so Shane and I host the show, and we will I'm doing AI. So I'm putting, like this past week we did CCUs, this past Monday night. I put CCU's schedule into AI and asked it to predict each game. And it did. It threw out a prediction. Anybody that's a TCU fan, AI loved you. You went 12-0. 11-1. but the Magic 8 Ball had you going 9-3. So we're going to see which one does better through all of them at the end of the year, obviously. But we're going to have every Monday night AI versus 8 Ball, and it's pretty cool little show. We have a lot of fun with that. On Tuesday nights, Tuesday is Upload Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, we do nothing but upload videos. I uploaded the video this past Tuesday. I actually had 2, but the other one, the file corrupted. So I've got to remake it. So I was able to upload 1, and and hopefully Frank can get a video sometime and make a video and upload it on Tuesdays. But Tuesdays is Upload Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, of course, is right here with us at the Frank Fear and Coach Greg Chris Mountaineer Locker Room. Love this show. It's one of the best shows on the whole network of all of the voice of college football. And I really love this show. So then Thursday nights, it's Big 12 show right here on the West Virginia channel. We cover all the Big 12. It's hosted by Shane and I. Friday nights at 8 o'clock is Mountaineer Live. We'll have special guests on there. I host that show. I'll bring on some special guests. This week, we're also going to have a special show on Saturday. So I'm going to do probably a pregame or a pre-spring game show. And then we're going to do a post-spring game show, but not till 9 o'clock that night because a lot of us are going to be in Morgantown. A lot of us have to drive back. We live in southern West Virginia. So it's a little bit of a trip. And so we're going to plan it for 9 o'clock that night, just in case anything would happen. We don't want any hiccups. So join us Saturday night. But yeah, that's a new lineup. But Monday through Friday, every single day.
Well, you're doing a great job, Joey, and we appreciate it. Certainly all the effort you put in. And obviously with the spring game this week, we're all excited about that, but also great anticipation of what football looks like in 2024. So that is fantastic. Again, for those of you who just joined us, Greg incapacitated with a flat tire on his way home from Morgantown, and Mickey can't make it. He's some health issues that he's going in for some testing tomorrow. Nothing to be concerned about, but he's taking meds, and we hope to have him back next week. And also, as you notice, my background, if you've watched the show, it's different from the way it usually is. I'm talking to you tonight from Georgia, southern Georgia, and if there are some interruptions in the feed, that's a function of being on Wi-Fi, even though I've plugged right into the router here. So as I said, our guest tonight is Mike Dunlap, and we're really looking forward to that. We'll talk, and you saw that just clip there. We're sorry about that, but again, we'll hopefully we won't have too many interruptions. And then we'll talk about WVU sports. Let me bring this guy in right now. Got to put it down a little bit. There you go, Mike. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Frank, I'm hanging in there, sir.
That's great. Good to have you. You know, those of you who know Mike, know him, and I've got just a little bit. Actually, we have a 200 letter limit on what we can say about guests, and so yours would have gone way beyond that. But you know, I'm not sure I know anybody in the state who is more well-known and connected than Mike Dunlap. Really, starting years ago when he was a great high school football player, and then beyond that, and he is in the sports media business too. Joey, I think you two know each other, don't you?
We're friends on Facebook. We've actually never met. We have talked on Facebook a few times. You know, I think I remember quite a few of his groups that he has and stuff. So yeah, we know of each other, but we've never met each other. How you doing, Mike?
Hi, Joe. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, buddy.
Let me start off, Frank, for thanking you for having me on. And I apologize for my appearance, but as you know, I just had open heart surgery. So comfort is my key friend right now.
Yeah, there's a picture with you. I don't know who that guy is you're with, though. I recognize you, but not that.
Now, I do know him. I do know him.
That is my brother, Daryl Talley.
That's right.
And
I tell you, and Daryl, boy, what a great award he got this week, Legends Award. So that is fantastic. And I know you and Daryl are close, but yeah, Mike, you've gone through so much physically. It's good to see you. You're looking good. That was just the open heart surgery was the one of several surgeries you've gone through. But what we want you to do tonight is just talk about yourself. Many of the people who are watching tonight will know you, but many others will not. And so why don't you take us right back to the beginning? In fact, it's not necessarily the beginning, but you were a great high school player and wanted by, my God, everybody out of high school. So why don't you start there?
Well, yeah, Frank, I was a naturally big kid in school. 8th grade, I was 6'2" and weighed 240, but I couldn't run. And my dad took it upon himself to teach me to run. I run every day. And eventually, as a senior, 300 pounds, I hit 4.940 speed. So that was a big goal of mine. And I owe Duck Riley a lot of credit for that also. But I went to Poca High School. But believe it or not, as a freshman, I was a fullback. And I weighed about 240. As a sophomore, I weighed about, I think about 250. Started both ways for Don Jennings. And played on a team with 10 seniors. And I'll tell you a funny story. Coach Jennings we'd have chalk talk, as many teams do, after the first practice. And I was playing with 10 seniors. They knew the plays. And I didn't. And he caught me asking somebody what to do on the play. And they still talk about the dressing down. I took over that. And I was afraid to tell him, look, Coach, I don't know the plays. But anyway, started both ways. My first game I played against was against a guy named Brad Hunt. Played at West Virginia, was also the Hunt Award winner in '83, I believe. And as we're going out onto the field, the guy comes up and he says, "Good luck tonight." And I said, "I appreciate it." He said, "You're going against an All-American." I said, "What? No, I did not know." The first play of the game, Brad knocked my helmet completely off. The second play, the only reason he didn't knock it off was my nose caught my chin strap. And here I'm thinking, I'm supposed to be some hot shot, up and coming. And this is the first two plays. This guy's about killed me.
Oh, man.
But anyway, settled down and had a decent sophomore year. Again, played both ways. Junior year, we came out, and I was ranked the #1 junior in West Virginia. And our coach did not believe in recognizing underclassmen. So the only award I got as a junior was the All-Southern team. They used to have the All-Southern team, the second team, which was fine. Again, had a good year, weighed about 265, 270. Came back as a senior. Of course, my senior year was fantastic.
Yeah.
6'4", 300 pounds. I won the Hunt Award, which is the all-class lineman of the year. We were a AA team. I won the Morgantown Touchdown Club High School Player of the Year. I won. I was third in the Kennedy, and a lot of people said I should have won the Kennedy that year. I won the Tom McCann Award, which is Scholar Athlete of the Year award. I'm trying to remember. I was first team All-American, Bally's All-American, top 99 in the country, and that's one of the things I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
So the first school that recruited me was Penn State, and I'd waited all my life to be recruited at that level. Back then, we didn't have 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. You were either a blue chip or you weren't. And I made the blue chip list, which was just thrilling to me. I actually saw it in a magazine in a drugstore. And so I was recruited by Penn State, West Virginia. These are teams that I actually went and talked to. Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia Tech. I was also recruited by Notre Dame, UCLA, South Carolina, I'll tell you another story, Frank. You like to hear stories. I was South Carolina was ranked number 2, undefeated, and they came to the high school, and they got me out of class, and I went to meet the coach. And back then we had the old projectors, and he was just threading a tape on, and I introduced myself. We talked for a few minutes, and I said, "Coach, I have to go." He said, "What do you mean you have to go? The number 2 team in the country is here recruiting." I said, "Well, I've got basketball practice." And
Yeah,
he said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you play or are you just on the team?" I said, "I'm a starter. I'm the captain of the team." He offered me a scholarship on the spot
yeah,
without even seeing the film or anything. Um, so
yeah,
that was pretty neat. And
yeah.
again, before the things that happened in Penn State that happened, I turned down Joe Paterno as a junior. Um, we had breakfast together, and the reason was I waited all my life to be recruited. I didn't want to end it on my first visit, you know. And but I think about some of the coaches that recruited me. You know, Don Nealon, coach, and I are still friends. We talk
That's right.
quite often. Uh, uh, oh, the guy at Kentucky, what was his name? That was at Maryland forever. Uh, I'll
Claiborne?
think of a minute.
Was it Claiborne?
Yes, Jerry Claiborne. Jerry Claiborne. Uh, just lots of big name coaches. Uh, the guy from Tennessee that was at Pitt,
Oh,
uh,
Johnny Majors.
Johnny Majors. Uh, I mean, the list just goes on and on.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a thrill. Um, like I say, I waited all my life to be recruited like that, and you know, I tried to include my teammates. Would take them to games. I don't know how many games I went to. Um,
Hmm.
Now, like Penn State, they don't dress at the stadium. A lot of people don't know that. They dress at a locker room, and then they bus them in through the crowd to the stadium. Well, I got to ride a bus through the crowd,
Hmm.
and sit in the press box and all that stuff. That was neat. Um, of course, I went to many West Virginia games. Um, I actually attended a Marshall. Marshall recruited me, and I really liked Stan Parrish.
Hmm.
But you know, they called me the first day of recruiting, and that was it. And I
Huh.
actually went to a game. I went to a game the week that West Virginia beat Penn State because I had been going and you know, leaving. A lot of times these schools were so far away, we'd have to leave after the game on Friday night. And I
Hmm.
told my dad, I said, "Look, Dad, let's go watch Marshall play," you know. And that was the night that West Virginia beat Penn State for the first time forever. But
Yeah.
you know, a lot of good memories. Uh, like you say, a lot of good connections to this day. Uh, if a lot of times if I don't know somebody, I know somebody that does know 'em. And you know, I've always helped people out. We helped with the apartment fire in Charleston a couple years ago. Regents, I think it was called, had a closed drive and a fundraiser. The flooding, we helped out. It's just what people need to be doing, really. And you know, proud to be from West Virginia. I actually signed at West Virginia. Things did not work out for me, uh, but that's another whole story. It's on nobody but me. Um, and then I went to play Division III football at Newport News, Virginia. The Shipyard actually has a Division III football team,
Yeah, I know.
and played for a guy named Norm Snead. If you remember that name,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, number 1 pick in the 1960 draft. Norm
I remember
passed
that
now.
name.
But what a great guy and great, just great people. And I hurt my knee the first game I played, and then just decided to concentrate on my studies and married a sweet gal from Jackson County named Joan, and I couldn't make it. Honestly, and look, Frank, you know what I've been through. I
Yeah.
cannot have made it without my wife and
Well,
my mother. Um,
yeah.
I had a kidney transplant July 24th. Rejected it about a month later, went back in the hospital, aspirated, and was unconscious for 4 days, had sepsis, pneumonia. I'm just hitting the highlights now. Then I was going to Cleveland Clinic to have my heart surgery on January 17th and got up there and had a fever. So they admitted me, and my gallbladder had died and turned gangrene.
Yeah.
So they had to take that out.
Oh.
So that pushed my surgery back a month. I really wasn't recovered from the gallbladder, but I had to have that surgery done. And this may interest people. I had the Ozaki procedure. So instead of a cow valve or a pig valve or a mechanical valve, they took a piece of my heart, of the sac that surrounds the heart, and created a aorta valve out of it. And that's what they put in. And but I'm good. I'm just really tired right now, which they told me to expect.
Yeah.
Doing PT. Then I think 2 weeks from now, I will start cardiac PT. I see that pop up there about being in the West Virginia Sports Legends Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Can't thank Tex Williams enough. And I was actually in the hospital. Who knows how many days I've spent in the hospital? But I was in the hospital when I got the text. And I thought I was on medication. So I had to read it again. And sure enough, actually, we didn't have the dinner because of COVID. And then the next year we had it, and a tally came in for it to be there for me. And, a lot of people, I'm going to tell you something. There ain't nobody better than Daryl Talley.
Yeah.
He calls my mom, and just a very humble guy, very, like I say, we call each other brother. And he's been a great addition to my life. Of course, I've known him for a long time, but we really just started getting close in about the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I know that. And we all say he should be in the hall.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I had a chance to see him about a year ago, a number of us were talking, and conclusion always is that Buffalo had won one of those Super Bowls. And I think Daryl would say this too. He'd be in there as well.
You'd be hard pressed to get Daryl to talk about it.
Oh, it's tough. I understand, but you're in the Legends Hall of Fame not just because of your playing, but also for your journalism and for your podcast, and you do a great job with that, and so I just want people to know that you've done a lot of things since your playing days were over, and not just in sports, but you just got this award. Talk about this award. This is a very, very interesting award.
Yeah, the WSAZ named me hometown hero for what we did for the fire victims. We had a truck full of clothes, utensils, anything you can think of, and cash. So they had they done that story, but then they came back and give me the hometown hero, doing another story about my need for a kidney.
Yeah.
So and I'm pretty proud of that. That's of all, you can see some of my awards in the background there in that picture. One of the awards, I was named Nitro Citizen February of the month, February of '84, and that stuff means something to me.
Sure.
So I was raised right. Again, sorry to be moving this all over the place. I decided to do this from my chair because I got all my stuff here in case something happens.
Sure. Gotcha.
I'd show you my scar, but you don't want to see that.
Mike, I got an interesting question for you, Mike. You talked about going into the drugstore, and I imagine I can just see you now seeing that magazine that has blue chip lists on the front of it, and you open it up and see your name. And I'm trying to think back in those days. I can imagine some of the names that would have been on that list too. I mean, because it had to be really special to be on there on that list, because I could just think probably Jim Elway and some of those guys were on that list then too, weren't they?
They were before me.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you a name that sticks out is Hartley Dykes, if you remember him.
Harley
Oh,
Dykes.
sure.
I know I remember that name. But I remember going down the list and I was like number 99, which who knows what. And that was Street Smith. That was pre-media day, pre-social media. Street Smith was the word. And
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, that was it. And as a freshman at West Virginia, I made the Street Smith top 20 freshman lineman in the country. I can't remember what it was called, but so yeah, we didn't have all this stuff on the computer. It was all Street and Smith, and interestingly enough, one publication spelled my name wrong. They called me Jim, and I got letters for months to Jim Dunlap, and my buddies would call me Jim, and but just it was a great time. I think back, I would have done some things differently. I didn't take all 5 of my trips. I would have done that. But got to meet a lot of great people.
Mhm.
Visit a lot of cool stadiums. See a lot of games for free. Eat a lot of good meals. Penn State, when I was up there, we had prime rib. Just good fun memories, and it's good to reminisce every now and then. But right now, I'm over the hump, I think. But there was a question of my survival there for a while.
Yeah. Well, Joey, it's interesting. Both of you guys are on the screen here together because our paths have crossed recently. Ever since I started working on the book, that's how I got to know Greg Christ. When Greg heard that I was writing what eventually became Band of Brothers Then and Now, focusing on the 66 to 70 WVU Mountaineers, he jumped on it before anyone else did. It was actually through Greg and others that got invitations to be on Hoppy's, to be interviewed by Hoppy and Caridi, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how I met you two guys. And so one of the things for me, and it's one of the reasons that I said yes to you, Joey, when you said, "Do you want to do a program?" Is I've really been blessed by meeting all of you folks and getting to know you, and now calling you friends, and that includes people who are watching tonight. People like Kelly, for example. It's very meaningful to me. I keep on telling people, West Virginia is just a very special place. I wasn't born in West Virginia. I came there, left, and now I'm back. Even though I don't live there still, but very much connected to it, and being able to hear the stories from back then, and having an opportunity to get to know Joey and you, Mike. It's just fantastic. And I've met so many people through Joe, through Mike. Certainly Wolf, God bless him, his name is up there too. It's just fantastic. And when I tell people all of this and they're not from West Virginia, I think they're very courteous and go, "Sure, yeah, Frank, thanks." But people who've experienced the Mountain State know exactly what I'm talking about, and it's just incredible. And it's just phenomenal. And so it's just great joy to have someone like Mike on, who has not only meant a lot to the state, but is still making tremendous contributions, and people love him all over the place.
Yeah, I'm actually bringing my podcast back, Frank.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, I've been offered a spot on Chill Sports.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to do that. Let me say this too. You talk about lucky. The ring of the retired numbers on Mountaineer Field. there's what, 5? 2 of them, Daryl Talley and Sam Huff, were 2 of my greatest friends.
Yeah.
You talk about Mountaineer fans and my wife, bless her heart, I come home one day and she said, "Who is Sam Huff, and why does he keep calling here?" But Sam and I were great friends. I'm a Steelers fan, and he was the voice or on the radio for the Redskins with Sonny Jurgensen.
That's right.
Sam called me one day and he said, "Hey, why don't you come up for a game?" So I looked at the schedule, and there the Steelers were Monday night, and I said, "Sam, this is the game I want to come to." He got me an all access pass, locker room, sideline, press, incredible. It was. I was hanging out with Art Rooney, who was then the ambassador to Ireland. I mean, it was just he hooked me up, and that's the kind of guy Sam was. If he liked you, he'd do anything in the world for you. And he took a liking to me, and I miss the guy. I really do. But he would call me every day, and then see again 2 of the 5, Daryl Talley, and then they put Don Nealon. Have they put Coach Nealon up there yet?
Yeah.
They did, didn't they? And so
well, I'm glad you brought that up because we all have a number of us have a love of Mountaineer history, not just football but history. And I have to admit, I was not as knowledgeable as I should have been about those phenomenal teams from the 1950s. My God, the quality that was recruited. I mean, Life magazine which was a big magazine back then, along with the Saturday Evening Post, did a spot on Pappy Lewis as a recruiter and all these great players that he recruited to Morgantown. And Sam Huff was certainly one of them. We can go down the list, and sadly, most of those guys have passed. I'm very pleased to say that I think in July we're going to have a chance to interview Freddie Wyant's daughter, and Underdonk was a great lineman who blocked.
Bill Underdonk.
I'm sorry. Go.
Bill Underdonk.
Yeah, great. And I got to know his daughter, and she's going to be on the show along with Freddie Wyant's daughter. And so we can't talk to them, the players, but we can talk to their offspring about what it was like, because those guys put Mountaineer football really on the map for the decade of the 50s. It was incredible, just incredible.
Yeah, there's a picture, Frank, of 4 or 5 guys walking off the field. That includes Sam, Freddie Wines, Bruce, what's his last name? Starts with a B. Bosley, yeah. And
I think Marconi's in that picture.
He might be. And
I've seen it. It is, you know what it's like? It's like the Four Horsemen photo.
Yeah.
The Four Horsemen of Notre Dame that goes back to the 30s or 40s. It's of the same ilk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find that and put it up so we can see it at some point, because that is I don't know if you've seen it, Joey. It is a spectacular photo.
Yeah, I was just looking for it myself. I can't find it though. I was looking for it myself.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, where you certainly can find it, if you are on Facebook and you're on the great, boy, I love this site. It's Old Mountaineer Field. It's somewhere on that site. Somebody posted it on Old Mountaineer Field on Facebook. That is a terrific Facebook group to belong to, because, if you're like me and you love history. But Mike, we want to thank you for being with us. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the show. We're going to go from then, when you played, to talking about today's Mountaineer football. We're going to talk a little bit about basketball and baseball. It's totally up to you if you want to hang around or not. Your choice.
Well, Frank, I've got to take some medicine here, and
okay.
I get one of the side effects of all this is I get really tired, and
Yeah.
I mean I will go to sleep right here, and so I'm gonna I'm gonna step aside, but I would love to come back.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
we've become fast friends, and I appreciate it. And Joey, nice to meet you. And I want to say one thing real quick, if you don't mind. We were
Oh,
talking about the retired numbers on the wall, and you have to be a member of College Football Hall of Fame to be eligible. So you think of the guys, the Mountaineers that are not eligible to have their number retired. Hostetler, Pat White. This it goes on and on and on. Fans don't understand that, and so something to think about. Maybe something to talk about in the future. And anyway, I appreciate you guys, and I'm gonna go
yeah.
around and get some try to get healthy.
Thank you,
Yeah, take
Mike.
care of yourself. And I'm glad that I was responsible for getting you two, Joey and Mike, to at least see each other virtually. And any final comments, Joey, you want to make tonight?
No, I would encourage everybody to follow Mike Dunlap over on Facebook, and also be sure and go to all of his rooms over there. He does. Yeah, how many rooms do you have on Facebook, Mike?
No idea.
It's a lot. So I think I'm a member of all of them and things. So, but be sure and look him up over on Facebook and go to all the group chats. Look up WB football and go to all the group chats over there. It's a lot of fun.
One more thing, Frank. I want to send a shout out to all my caretakers. My nurses are my heroes. I was in great care. I was in such rest that I fell asleep in the pre-op room for both my kidney transplant and my heart procedure. So it was out of my hands, but I want to send a special shout out to those folks, and also my team at dialysis that kept me alive. So talk to you guys soon.
Well,
Wish
thank
you
you.
a healthy
God bless you.
recovery.
Yeah, you're a good friend, and we'll talk with you soon. Take
Yes,
care,
sir.
buddy.
Bye.
Take care, Mike.
He is a special human being, I'll tell you, Joey. And
He is
it's-
great.
Boy, I'll tell you.
I can't believe I hadn't met him before now, because I guess we've talked for years on Facebook, especially back when Dale Wolfley first wanted to do the Mountaineer Legends pregame show. I know when he reached out to me wanting to do the show and start doing a show about Mountaineer Legends, he told me, he said, now listen, you got to get a hold of Mike Dunlap because he can help us on Facebook. And I mean, and I said, well, I know Mike Dunlap. It is all right. And we got to get him to help us on Facebook, so even Wolfman just absolutely thought the world of Mike Dunlap. So wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, it's just, when I just think about Mike and, thinking about Wolf here coming up in the corner there, all the connections that I've been blessed to make with you and Wolf and so many of the folks who watch the show. Mike Rollins is another name that comes to mind, and it's just it's just been just fantastic, and he is part of that group, and I'm just blessed to be part of it.
And there's another one coming in that Wolfman thought the world up, and also told me I need to get hold of Mark Parsons too over on Facebook, and he can help me a lot.
Right, yeah. And here's a guy right here that got on board with the book so early. Mark is just what a blessing to know Mark and to be a friend of his. And we help each other out, but he does a lot more helping than the rest of us do, and we appreciate. Sometimes Mark, because he works full time and at night, can't watch the show live, but we're blessed to have Mark with us. He's been on the program before, and certainly he's going to be on the program again. So it's great. Yeah. Well, a couple of things as we move into what's going on this week. Why don't we start with real quickly? We've been covering basketball a lot with, and Daryl's done a great job of giving us insights into what's happening with Mountaineer basketball and his perspective. And one of the graphics he prepared a couple of weeks ago is what, well before the new coach was hired, what he thought was necessary to put Humpty Dumpty back on the wall. We've kept those up there that we can pull up because they're very insightful. And it was good news this week to get a couple of major recruits, both out of the University of Illinois, in Amani Hansberry and Sincere Harris. Those two look to be really good, major college basketball players, and obviously delivered by Chester Frazier, who was an assistant coach on the Illini staff, and that's really good news. And I know the Mountaineers are really high on a player out of Illinois Chicago. We talked about it last week. A lot of people don't hear about Illinois Chicago because it's not high major college basketball. But Toby Okani is his name, and at least one source said he's not signed yet with West Virginia, but he's 100% locked to sign with West Virginia, and he's a 6'8" forward, 11 points a game last year, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks a game, and so we're hoping, because quite frankly, with the transition, in fact, I have a updated graphic here if I can find it. Joey, I have it here somewhere. We've got so many things. We got so many graphics up here. Sometimes it's difficult to find them all, but that's the updated as of April 23rd. The updated basketball roster. Only 2 are left from last year that at least are on the squad right now: Farrakhan and Neva, and then there are the new players. DeVries coming from Drake with his dad. He has 1 year left. But one of the things that I think is really important with this graphic, maybe it's the most important thing, is the fact that both of the new recruits from the portal guys, Harris and Hansberry, both have 3 years left. So that's very different from last year when people like Battle, Edwards, and Slazinski came in, and they were basically 1 year players. But these guys, both of those guys, have 3 years, which, Joey, is a good deal, especially these days in the portal.
Right. That's really good to get somebody that's got 3 years of eligibility left. Here's what you hope, though, is that they don't come in for a year and transfer again.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can have some success in that program and build this year, and they can see some progress to stick around, right? I've seen a list, and I'm looking for it right now, and I just found it. It's from West Virginia Sports, and they put a letter list. Let me share this here. I'll share this with you, everybody here. Share the screen. There we go. Looking at 2024 basketball recruiting. This was 8 hours ago, and they put a list of about 25 names together that West Virginia is probably looking at. There's not a guarantee they're looking at them.
I saw that.
Yeah, so you've
there's
got
O'Connor. Yeah,
Anton Bright from Drake. So most likely, I would say he will be. Well, what happened? Hell, it just went backwards on me. I don't know what happened. Let's see if I can go back forward. There we go. Toby Okani.
Yeah.
From UIC. Javon Small, Oklahoma State. And this guy's a horse. I don't know if anybody remembers watching this guy.
Yeah.
Averaged 15.8 points a game, 5.6 assists, 34 minutes a game. I mean, what a great player. That would be a great land there if we could get him.
He's going to make, and it was just announced today, he's going to make a visit.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
He's going to make a visit in Morgantown. Yeah.
Good deal. Let me see if I can increase the size of this so people can see it a little bit better. Is that better? All right. So then we got Elijah Hawkins from Minnesota. 5'11" point guard, 9.5 points, 7.5 assists per game. Chaz Lanier, point guard from North Florida, 19.7 points, 4.8 rebounds, 1.8 assists a game.
Yeah.
And that's what I can't figure out. Point guard averaging 4.8 rebounds a game. That's pretty daggone good.
Yeah.
Means he's a hustler. John, I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Tanji, small forward. Yeah. So then, it goes on down through here. It's over on West Virginia Sports now. Some really good names. I don't know if West Virginia's looking at all of them, obviously. Just a list of names that they think West Virginia should probably be looking at. And there are some good ones on this list, and some that would be great lands for West Virginia. So,
I'm glad you brought that up because things have changed so significantly. When players years ago didn't go to a major college, you could pretty much say, well, they really aren't major. They're not big players. They're playing in college. They're collegiate players, but they're not top tier. That's just not the case. I'll give you an example. I can't tell you how many major colleges were after a guy named Frankie Fiddler. Frankie Fiddler, who played for University of Nebraska, Omaha. Nobody watches Omaha play except Omaha fans. Michigan State landed him yesterday, I think, but all the big schools were after him. And I think the same kind of thing is going in along the lines of Otani. So many people wanted him, and people are going to be very, very impressed with DeVries. He is a big time player, and Drake was a great team. So things are looking up, and it's going to take some time, but that's I think it's exciting because we need to get Humpty Dumpty back on the wall. Why don't we shift to baseball? I'll tell you what. Talk about Humpty Dumpty falling off the wall. Oh boy, there was West Virginia in first place, had swept 2 consecutive weekends, 6 in a row. Things were working great. Everything was was really coming out, smelling like roses. They go to Texas Tech. And I said last week on the show, Joe, I said, look, it's really simple this weekend. They are number 1 in hitting, they being Baylor, the Baylor Bears, the Texas Tech. Can't get it straight here. Anyway, Texas Tech, they're number 1 in hitting, but so pitching toward the bottom of the league. So what you got to do is the pitchers have to control those their hitters, and we have to hit. And it just didn't happen. And so we got swept. And the thing that, and I'm going to bring this up right now, if I can find it, I think this is the most recent one. And so here we are, because Oklahoma swept BYU at BYU, and we were swept in Lubbock by Texas Tech. All of a sudden, last week tied with Oklahoma for the lead. Now we're 3 games back. At 11
Happens quick, don't it?
Oh my God. And the thing that's really crazy, so I looked at the schedule. People who know me know I'm a nerd. So I'm always looking at stats and schedules and numbers. So New Mexico is coming in to play Texas Tech. And I looked at New Mexico, and nothing negative, but Texas Tech is gonna, no problem. New Mexico comes into Lubbock and beats Texas Tech, yesterday, 12-3. Just wiped the floor with him. And I said, there we were, Friday, Saturday. Didn't play Saturday, was postponed. Doubleheader on Sunday, we dropped 3. So now Baylor is really critical. I mean, Baylor, as you can see, has a losing overall record, 50-50 in the conference. Reasonable hitting, again, like Tech, not the best hitting in the world. And so what we can't do is a repeat of what we did last weekend, and that is we got to hit. We left 28 men on base in 3 games, and we're outscored in 3 games, 21-7. So, at any rate, I haven't looked at the score. Does anyone know? Maybe it's in comments here.
Okay, the game tonight against Penn State's been canceled due to rain.
Oh, it's canceled.
And it's not being rescheduled as far as I know, but they are scheduled to meet again on May the 8th at the Kendrick Family Ballpark. So
great. Okay, because I was going to ask about that. Good to see Timothy Green. Timothy's also one of those guys that just has been loyal and engaged, just a great fan of Mountaineer sports, and one of those, chalk it up again, another West Virginian that you want to know and have as a friend, no question about it.
Timothy Green and Kelly, they're great stewards for West Virginia University. They're in everywhere that West Virginia has a program going on, right? So they're in Couz's Corner. They're at Mountaineer Paul. They're here with us on this network. I mean, they're everywhere. If there's something West Virginia going on, you'll see Timothy Green and Kelly McCord in there just about every day. So
yeah, and that's it. It really is exciting because we as the content producers get to meet and know people like Timothy and Kelly. And I'll tell you what, it makes a difference in our lives. Well, let's shift to football. There's one thing I want to bring up, Joey, and you know this, and some of our fans do too. Many of them have already gone to the channel, West Virginia, the Voice of College Football, on YouTube. You're watching it tonight at West Virginia VOCF, and you watch the WVU Penn State simulation, which is just fantastic. Well, 2 more simulations are now available, and they are up. And I watched both of them. Obviously, not going to give away what the result was, but the game. I really enjoyed the game up at Pitt Stadium, particularly watching the body language of the Pitt players. Really enjoyed that, and also the KU game. And so we encourage you to go over to the channel and watch those 2 simulations. Well done, based on current rosters. Just a good way to spend. You can watch it all or watch part of it, but it's really fun, and I think it's something that the kids could watch and enjoy too.
Oh yeah, you don't get a lot up in simulations, obviously, but they really are fun to watch sometimes, and especially these, because you don't have it set up to be a whole game. Obviously, you're not sitting there for 3 hours. These last 30, 45 minutes tops, and they're just a lot of fun to watch. You start seeing the thing about it is everybody's named, right? Most of the players are named in there. So, you're seeing Garrett Green make big plays or a big run from Jaheim White or something. I mean, so it's pretty cool. But at the same time, I don't want to give it away. I won't say anything else because I want to tell everybody what our record is, and I'm just wanting to.
That's right.
But watch them, guys. Watch them. These are put out by SG1 Sports. He uploads those to our channel. He does all the simulations and stuff and uploads them. Does a great job. He's done it for years for us here at the Voice of College Football. So,
yeah, and everybody, Joey always says to push that like button and follow. But Joey is the straw that stirs the drink at the channel. He's done a great job, and he really cares about the fans. And Shane has been a great addition. And I want to say, Run to Read, absolutely. See, one of the problems when you start naming names is that you inevitably, if you don't have it written down in front of you, you're going to forget. And that's the thing about those 50, the teams from the 50s. And that's why when I wrote the book about the 60s team in the 70s, 1966 to 70, I devoted a chapter to Pappy Lewis and the teams of the 50s. I really think they put West Virginia on the map in football. We were really a 500 team with an exception here or there over the years, but Pappy Lewis really did a great job. And the thing I would say too, and some of you have heard this before, he wasn't one of those, you got to have him as a head coach. He had been head coach at Washington and Lee, which was a major team back then in the 40s, and wasn't all that successful. And so got to credit the athletic director at the time, Hawley, his name, Legs Hawley, for inviting him to become the football coach. Started slowly, but in a couple of years, there's West Virginia in the Sugar Bowl. And it's just really great. So I agree. Steinahar was a great player, and there's so many of them. Well, let's talk about football. We've got a big spring game coming up this Saturday. It's going to be great. And it sounds to be, Joey, I haven't gotten a lot of information. It sounds as though it actually is going to be, it's not going to be a full game, but it's going to be a game. Is that what you've heard?
I have not heard, but I have not really read about it or paid a lot of attention to it. To be honest with you, spring games, I love spring games. I think you can learn a little bit about players, individual players. I don't think you learn a lot about a team. So I don't read a lot going into it as to who's going to be starting, what kind of game they're going to play, whether it's going to be more like a real game or just play acting. I don't look into that anyway. So because I know if it's going to be like a real game, we're not going to see a real game out of the Mountaineers. It's just not going to happen. We're going to see individual efforts like we did with Preston Fox a couple of years ago, like we did with Hudson Clement last year. You're going to see a lot of good individual efforts. that's going to tell you a lot about a player. And I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be the standout this year. But what I really look for is who's going to be the standout walk-on this year. Who's going to be the standout freshman this year for spring game. That's what I'm looking for. I just look forward to that.
Yeah, that's. I'll tell you what. I think you're right, and I do think they're going to be drills, competitions, but there's also going to be a game in there. And when it comes to football and basketball, one of the things we've got our eyes open. This is unusual. Both portals are closing almost on the same day. The football portal closes next Tuesday, and the basketball portal closes May 1st. That's the last day that players can declare until later this year. So it's really critical. And one of the things that we're all concerned about is after the spring game, there are a couple days there, and will players leave? So far, it really hasn't included anyone on of the Mountaineers that big names, let's say too deep. But E.J. Horton, wide receiver, this was late breaking today, has entered the portal.
Right.
And wide receiver. And I looked at what he did last year, and I remember a big catch he had in the Houston game for 45 yards. And he was a major actor in the Oklahoma State game too. But then when you look at his stats, he only had, I think, 200 yards on the season and only 10 catches. And that wide receiver room, like the linebacking room, is really stacked. And so, and I'll tell you one thing. And Coach Brown has said this, and it's the right attitude, and that is that, if the kids don't fit in here, he hopes no one leaves. But then can I help them where they're going to go next? And rather than view them as, well, you were here, but you're gone and you're out of my mind. I think you got to be dedicated to being a player's coach, and we're lucky to have in Neil Brown someone like that. So E.J. Horton. And I also looked at the list today, and the good news is for those players who left, all but two who left in the last portal, all but two have been picked up. People like Theo Graybill, a wide receiver, and Justin Johnson are the two that have not been picked up yet. I'm really surprised, aren't you, that Justin Johnson hasn't been picked up yet? That surprised me.
Yeah, I'm real surprised about that because I didn't figure he would last too long in the portal.
No, but Lance Dixon is off to Toledo, linebacker. Mike Lockhart, defensive line, is at SMU. Hershey McLaurin, safety at Houston. Deshaun Poole is wide receiver at San Diego State, and that's just a few. So they're finding places, and they'll be able to continue their career.
So I was looking earlier today, 2025 class. Michael Scott, wide receiver out of Pennsylvania, has West Virginia in the top 7.
Yeah.
He's highly touted out of there. And what got me about this, and what makes me bring this up, is they asked him what made him put West Virginia in his top 7. The fans, the WVU fans.
That's it.
That. Can't remember his exact words, but it was the WVU fans that did it. He said, trying to think of what he said. Oh, he said the fans are all about WVU. And that's why he's choosing West Virginia. So, or not choosing, but put him in the top 7. And if you think about his list of the people that are looking at him, there's some good schools in there. Arizona State, James Madison, Liberty, Old Dominion, Pitt, Toledo. But a lot of those things don't have the facilities that West Virginia does. And so I have a feeling West Virginia is going to land him. I really do. I think that he'll, out of his top 7, probably the best facilities without a doubt are West Virginia. The best tradition, probably West Virginia. Best overall success of a team, I would say between West Virginia and Pitt would be his 2 choices. So I think West Virginia has a really good chance of landing him.
Yeah, the thing about that I would say, to add to what you were saying just a few seconds ago about the fans of West Virginia, Tony Altimore is a good friend of yours. Tony's been on our show here before. You've had him on. Wolf had him on a number of times. And if there is ever a college football number cruncher, it's Tony Altimore. And he's a smart guy, very sharp. And I was looking at a couple of his charts the other day, which I think, and a couple just stuck out to me. One chart was a comparison of all the major colleges in terms of the attendance of the games versus compared to eyeballs on TV, your handheld, whatever, watching a game versus being at the game. And what was interesting about those data is there was West Virginia right in the middle, going this way, right in the middle of the axis. In other words, when you look at the eyeballs in person versus the eyeballs using media, West Virginia's there on both, and that means they have a very strong followership, both willing to pay the money to go to the games and also to watch the games. And if you're a football player, what more can you ask for? And I hadn't been to a West Virginia game in decades, and for years I went to Big Ten games. And I'll tell you, the atmosphere. In fact, you invited me to be on the Pitt pre and post game show last year with you, Joey, last season, and so I was there. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely, it rivals what you experience at a Big Ten game. And I've been to, obviously, Michigan State, but I've been to most of the Big Ten stadiums, including the Big House. It's just, and it means a lot. The flip side of that coin is please, fans, watch what you say about the coach, the team, and the players on social media, because the recruits read that. They read it, they look at it, and they think about, if I go there, am I going to be under that kind of microscope and negative, the negative commentary? We don't need that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm going to, let's see, I need to delete one of these overlays. Let's see which one I'm going to delete here. I'm looking up here. I need to delete an overlay because I'm going to bring one up. I want to show somebody. Oh, here we go. I can get rid of this aura thing. Let me delete that. And then I'll load this other one up. So I'm going to do a video because this playing into what you talked about there a little bit. And I created this thumbnail today, and I'm going to show everybody this thumbnail so you understand what my video is going to be about. And I'm going to do some research on this and make sure everything's perfect on this video. But I'm going to do a video on NIL, transfer portal, TV money, paying amateurs. Is it the end? Is it over? Is college football over? I'm going to look at all the Big 12 teams, all the ACC teams, all the Big 10, and all the SEC schools, and just how long can the Big 12 compete making 40 to 50 million a year, while the Big 10 and SEC are making 90 to 100 million a year? Yeah. When they're doubling us, and they're able to put more into facilities and more into their anything. And if the law passes and schools are paying these players, they're going to be able to pay players more, right? Obviously, they get a lot more money. So I want to look at that and wonder how long teams like West Virginia, TCU, Texas Tech can last and hold out with the Big Ten and SEC money. And that scares me, guys. It really worries me. I worry about that a lot. I don't think it's going to happen necessarily in my lifetime that West Virginia is not going to be a major program. But you know what? It could happen in our lifetime, Frank, that West Virginia becomes a group of 5 program, right? And I don't want to see that happen. I don't think that will. I think West Virginia's got way too much tradition, way too much fan support, way too much TV revenue, and many people watching our games to do that. But I do worry about it. So I'm going to do a video on that, and we're going to take a look at what I project, how long they could last. And I'll probably get Tony Altimore to help me crunch some of those numbers, so we can figure out how long can some of these teams last competing with the SEC and Big Ten on a consistent basis when they're making 40 to 50 million more per year, every year for the foreseeable future.
Great.
Well, I was looking at the comments here. Uh, oh, this is Frank's show. But I know you think of Joey. Yeah, Frank puts this thing together. He does a great job too. Coach Greg Chris would be here with you guys tonight, but he's changing a tire.
Terrible.
Changing a
Terrible.
tire.
But Joey, I was going to say that's why I've been preaching the gospel. That video you're working about. That's why I've been preaching the gospel that we need to have this Super League pick up traction, because the thing I love about this Super League is that the conferences as they exist now wouldn't compete with each other. There would be a commissioner, there would be a leveling, and the focus would be on the play on the field. And West Virginia would be grouped with peers in the Northeast, and we'd get back to what I grew up with as a kid, watching West Virginia, Syracuse, Pitt, Penn State, Boston College, WVU, Virginia Tech, WVU, and that's we need that, I think, desperately. And so I understand your concern, because it's a real concern.
One thing that scares me about this is that SEC and Big Ten are not for this. They weren't a part of this, but one of the big voices in this layout was Gordon Gee. And so that scares me, because Gordon Gee obviously knows more than we do. And if he wants this to happen, then there may be a future where West Virginia is not making the SEC or Big Ten, and those two conferences are going to outlast the ACC and Big 12, obviously. And with the money going into those conferences, I just don't see how we can all keep up. So this proposed Super League is a great idea.
Yeah, I just tell you, Joe, what it would be like in the NFL if you didn't have a commissioner, and the divisions and the conferences were like the conferences in college football, where you would have the AFC East pitted against the AFC North. And so Pittsburgh would be pitted against Buffalo, and Baltimore would be pitted against the New York Jets, because that's what we have right now. It's either eat or be eaten in college football. And what the NFL does much better than college football, it focuses on the game. And then there would be one commissioner, just like there is in the NFL, to be responsible for negotiating the media rights. And so it wouldn't be crumbs for the ACC and Big 12, and steak dinners for SEC and the Big 10. So, and I think the answer is no. Kenny, Joey, I don't know what you think, but I just don't think so.
I think there's always a possibility. Here's what has to happen, though. Number one, the Big Ten and the SEC would have to both agree to expand to 24 teams. And then I think West Virginia would make the SEC, without a doubt, if they expand to 24 each, which would be 48 total. I know that the one I've been saying that I think is really happening and headed towards is a Big Three, where you have the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Big 12. And the ACC eventually, when Florida State and Clemson get out of there, maybe some of those teams start heading to the Big 12. Maybe a few of them head to the Big 10, the SEC. And then if we can get in the Big 12, we need some big names, right? We need Miami or Florida State or Clemson. We need a team like that. We really do. If we don't get that, then how long can we last competing against the SEC and Big 10? Because we're not going to get that money. They're going to end up getting more money.
Yeah.
And that's what I worry about.
No, I agree with you. But as I said last week, and it's been documented, if you're the one that sent me the article, Sportico had an article about this, which is the most up-to-date, grounded analysis of it. And the thing that struck me, Joey, you and I talked about this, is I think the thing that's going to make this Super League possible is that no matter what the SEC and Big Ten do, they're going to be feeding their own children, so to speak. And the amount of money that's going to generate is nothing compared to what a coast to coast super league would do. The estimates are that forget about the $3 to $5 billion a year that's generated by major college football now. We're looking at $20 billion a year, and probably the second most popular, largest, most money-making operation of all sports outside of the NFL. That college football would be number 2, ahead of the NBA and Major League Baseball. Now, is that a pipe dream? I think, quite frankly, it's driving this to be able to have one voice, work with the networks, and saying, you don't have to choose between USC and Alabama. What we're going to bring to you is literally, they're talking about 130 teams, with 70 of them being the major teams, the 7 all the way from west to south on this graphic. And then another 50, 60, actually 60, I think, maybe as many as 70 in that underleague division, where you'll have teams coming in and leaving based on their performance. That's the top 10, but the others have a chance to get there. So I think the money alone is going to drive this, and we got to stop this nonsense of conferences poaching, and I mean, it just doesn't work. And we've lost the regional rivalries.
Right. And that's what built college football. People that think college football was just a great sport and everybody started watching it, you're kind of wrong there, because there was a time when college football wasn't watched at all on TV. I can remember people just changing the channel up when the college football game was on. But nowadays they watch them, and the main reason for that is because of the rivalries, because of Michigan and Michigan State, or Michigan and Ohio State, or West Virginia and Pitt, or Penn State, or Georgia and Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Auburn, all these big rivalries. That's what drove and built college football to where it is today. And unfortunately, that's what we're getting away from, and that's going to be the downfall if we don't do something to get them back, honestly.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, Kenny has it's interesting, Joey. I think if we just put our viewers around a table, I bet you in an hour we could come up with something pretty good.
I guarantee you. I guarantee you.
It's the powers that be, and I understand. I was an executive for years, so it's a different situation because there's all the jockeying that goes on. But I think West Virginia will be fine. Going back to what I was talking about before, and Tony always brings up, Tony Altimore in his analysis, is that you can say, West Virginia, small state. But when you look at the number of people who are watching, the number of people going to games, and you look at the brand power, West Virginia is always there. We're always there. And in the reconfigured Big 12, with Oklahoma and Texas out of there, West Virginia is right up there in terms of brand power. And that's so critical in today's world, whether we like it or not. That's just the way it is.
Yep. It is.
Well, this has been great, buddy.
It has been. I appreciate you asking me on. Hope Greg Chris can come back with you next week. Missed him tonight. You had a great guest in Mike Dunlap here, though, and Mike Dunlap, amazing guy. Everyone, be sure and watch for him on Twitter. Let him know that you're thinking about him. He's having a lot of health issues, so let's let Mike know that we're on his side and supporting him.
Yeah, just go, if you're on Facebook, as you mentioned earlier, go to his page, wish him well, and the guy just, Mr. West Virginia, he's fantastic. And so
yeah, he is.
I'll tell you, it's just one of those blessed people I've had a chance to get to know and so on. And Greg couldn't make it on tonight. He'll be on next week. He's working on a major guest for next week. So we'll see you next Wednesday. We'll be watching Joey the rest of the week with Shane. And thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. For Frank Fear and Joey Foster. And hopefully Nikki will be with us next week too. We'll see you.
Everyone have a great night.